Hello and welcome back to Park Life Sport, where today we'll be reviewing and previewing our Lions 15 for the upcoming tour, or maybe not tour, against South Africa. Here with me in the studio, I've got rugby correspondents Louis Shaw and Tom Sansom. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, doing good. Looking forward to it.
Good. So what we're going to do is we've all got a pre-selected 15 that we think should start. Are we going to say the first test or the last test? Because there is a bit of a difference there.
Or say, all right, so we're going to say it's 1-1 and it's the third test, and this is the side that Gatland picks.
I'd agree with that. So we're going to pick the all-deciding team that we think basically we just play if our lives are on it. I reckon that's the most important thing going on. So we're going to go by positions. I reckon we're going to go forwards, forwards then back, shall we say?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, good. So if we're ready to start, shall we say Tom?
Yes, right.
Who are your forwards?
Right, so I'll go pick my front row first. My front row, I've gone for Kyle Sinclair for England, Jamie George for England, but I reckon George is probably the best hooker in the world at the minute, and I've put a bit of Welsh in there. I've gone for Thomas Francis. I've really been impressed with him for Exeter Chiefs as well. So that's my front row.
Yeah, it's interesting. I agree with two of your decisions there in the front row. I've gone with Mako Vunipola, Jamie George, and then at tight head I've gone Tide Furlong. I think I've said that right. But yeah, I think, you'd probably have Francis either on the bench or starting, and both of those players have got the impact to come on in the second half and really make a difference. So I'm not sure it matters too much who's starting and who's on the bench there.
I think with Kyle Sinclair on my side of things, you just need that. I just love how much fire he brings to a game. Unfortunately, when you look at the 2019 World Cup, when he got injured right at the start of the final against South Africa for England, it wasn't his best showing. But just the first 5 minutes, how intense he was in the biggest game of his life. I think that kind of energy would fit really well into a Lions final test side. What about you, Lucas? What's your front row?
I've actually gone a bit different to you boys. I think I've took a bit more Six Nations bias in, obviously factoring in whether English players should play, depending on their form. I've gone Sinclair. I think there's a bit of agreement there all round. But
Yep.
I've gone Alan Wynne and Ken Owens for the other spot, just because I think Wales, I think this is going to be a largely Welsh team for once. Opinions on that, boys?
I like Ken Owens. I think that's a great shout. I had him on my bench. Two well taken tries against Italy. And the second one, he really had to scrap to get to the try line there. And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Wales are probably the in-form side at the moment. Probably set to win the Grand Slam when they go to France next weekend. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of Welsh players in the team.
I'd agree. I think my backups would definitely be a couple of names that you mentioned. I think Jamie George is all but a certainty to be there. And I think it's maybe Vunipola or Sutherland from Scotland.
Yeah.
I think that would be in contention for the other backup spot. If we move on to the locks then, I think I'll start this time. I think the interesting debate here is Atoje. Atoje, Ryan and Alan Wynne-Jones. I think Atoje is probably the most complete out of all three of them, but it's whether that discipline and form is going to cost him. I have gone for Itoje and Alan Wynne-Jones as my two locks. I think Wynne-Jones is the captain, so he's obviously going to be starting, and I think I'm going to just slide on Itoje over James Ryan.
Yeah, I'm just going to say snap, because I've got exactly the same as you. I think, Maro Itoje has been, brilliant for England in the past. Arguably hasn't been at his best in the last couple of games, but you've got to remember that he hasn't been playing for Saracens each week. So obviously they've been in the Championship and they're not getting regular game time. So I think, come the summer, he would have played a bit more and he'll be ready for the Lions series. And Alan Wynne-Jones, what a man, what a player. He's definitely got to be in there.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say basically the same. I went for Itoje and Alan Wynne-Jones. The fact that all three of us have gone for that partnership, it speaks volumes. Like, they're two second rows who are on top of their games at the minute. They're probably in the contention of being the best second rows in the world, let alone out of the British and Irish Lions, people that can rock up and do a really good job for Warren Gatland. And yeah, moving swiftly on, we've got 4 and 5 at Maro Itoje, Alan Wynne-Jones.
Very good. Just in terms of the opposition, I think it's key to remember that South Africa are known as this kind of big, powerful, all-conquering team when playing them. Do you think with the selection here, there's got to be a focus on players that are better scrummagers, or do you think maybe players that are more powerful?
Absolutely. I had a really good call the other day. It was a Blues game out in Super Rugby, and one of the I can't remember, it might have been Justin Marshall. He said the Blues scrum is like a South African scrum, just without the South Africans, and that speaks volumes about how well renowned their scrum is. And you need your best scrummagers in to face South Africa, because they will dominate that area of the game.
I don't think there's a team in rugby union that has more depth as well. In terms of South Africa up front, I think if you look at the name, the likes of Etzebeth, of course, you've got the Beast,
Yeah,
you've got
Tendai.
Yeah, Lou De Jager, Vermaelen. They've just got world-class players everywhere up front. I think this may be the key battle that we see in the Lions tour. Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the main part of that battle is probably going to be in the back row. And, you either go big in the back row, or you maybe go for players who are slightly more nimble, can, be faster around the field, make more tackles. And that's definitely something that I've gone with. So I've gone with Josh Navidi, Sam Underhill and Sam Simmons. Bit of an outside call there at number 8, with Sam Simmons obviously not involved in the England squad for this Six Nations, but he's been absolutely tearing it up for Exeter and scoring tries for fun. So he's someone I definitely have involved in the squad.
I absolutely love that Sam Simmons shout. I totally agree with you. I can't get my head around why Eddie Jones doesn't pick him for England. Must be something like he doesn't fit into their system. But he, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the Heineken Cup Player of the Year, wasn't he, last season? And yeah, he's been absolutely outstanding in the Premiership this season. And yeah, but there have been players like, off the top of my head, Will Greenwood, who haven't really got on with their national teams, had a fantastic spell for the Lions, and then the national teams call upon them after seeing how well they do. And Sam Simmons hopefully follows that career trajectory and gets the England shirt after he tears up for the Lions. Oh, do you want my flankers? I've gone for Peter O'Mahony for some experience and hard hitter, and Tom Curry for what you mentioned earlier about getting around the pitch, and he's one of the best flankers in the world right now. He's such a hard worker, it's unbelievable.
I've gone a bit different again, going along this the Welsh theme of how good they've been. I've actually gone for a Welsh trio of Navidi, Tipuric and Faletau.
Oh, very nice.
But
very nice.
I'm more than willing to listen to shouts for Billy Vunipola, Underhill, Hamish Watson, Sam Curry. I think this will be an area where Gatland's his Welsh ties will be tested, I think, on just how he composes this the back row.
Yeah, it's such a competitive area, isn't it? I mean, with all these positions, really, there's probably about 5 players you could pick in each of them. So yeah, it'd just be interesting to see. Obviously, you mentioned it there, Warren Gatland having coached Wales for such a long time, whether he will have a more Welsh-biased team in there. I'm not sure he will, because he's been head coach of the Lions obviously now for a number of years, and I don't think that bias has ever really come through. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what he does this year.
I can definitely see a Faletau call up ahead of Vunipola after recent performances. Certainly. We're moving on to our backs. We're moving on to our 9-10 partnership.
Yes, you're more than welcome to start if you're feeling confident. Right,
so my 9-10 partnership, I've gone for a bit of experience, a bit of an old head at 10. I've gone for Johnny Sexton for Ireland. I believe that he can still go. And I know how good George Ford is and why he's considered to be like the best 10 option for the Lions, but I think Sexton on his day is unplayable. And in at 9, well, I was a bit stuck for 9, to be honest, because I see Ben Young's put in performances week in, week out, but I hate to say it, he isn't the most reliable when it can come. Like the 2019 World Cup, he didn't have his greatest performance, and there's that gif that just gets played loop after loop of him just throwing it into touch for no apparent reason. But so what? I've just gone for Danny Care because I love the guy at 9.
It's interesting. I'm not sure whether I agree with your Johnny Sexton pick, because I think he's just getting a bit too old, and every time he gets tackled, he stays down on the ground for about 5 minutes, pretending he's injured. And I don't know. I just don't think he's at his best at the moment. But I definitely agree at scrum half, we probably need to mix it up a little bit. I think another player who's in good form at the moment is Ben Spencer. Again, another player Eddie Jones has sort of overlooked. I mean, he did come on in the second half in the World Cup final, but that was only because Willie Hines was injured and he got flown out right at the last minute. So yeah, I definitely think that's a area that we could experiment with a little bit. And at 10, I've gone for Finn Russell, the Maverick. He's just, I feel like he offers something completely different to all the other fly halves. He's not scared to, try a chip and chase, try a grubber, and yeah, it would just be amazing to see him in the Lions shirt.
For me, I'm going with a combination of Conor Murray and Finn Russell. I think Finn Russell is a certainty for me, but I just think he's a magician, to be honest. And then I think the 9 is really where things get interesting, because I don't think there's a real strong candidate. I think it's all for the taking. The logical thing may be to put his Scotland teammate Ali Price in there, if we're going off combinations and chemistry with players, but I do think shouldn't be surprised to see anyone really lining up there. Ben Youngs, I think, is an outside shout for me. But yeah, Conor Murray for me, I'm going to go with.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's, again, another fiercely competitive area. But yeah, I think we can all agree that scrum half's probably an area where we should experiment with a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you should never overlook Danny Care. I
love Danny Care.
I just like watching him play for Harlequins. I just like it when he just gets the ball at the back of a ruck and just snipes, and he's so quick as well. He's not over the hill at all. He's more than able to keep up with the play. But yeah, move swiftly on. You mentioned Finn Russell. If we're moving on to the centre partnerships, I had a look because I wanted Finn Russell in my team. I really did, and I've had a look, and he does have playing experience at 12. And so I'm going to put Finn Russell in at 12 for all the reasons you mentioned earlier. And outside him, I'm going to have Owen Farrell making those big leading carries and the important. He's really good through the hands, and he's proven that he can link up at outside centre and rely more on the 12, like someone like Henry Slade, or like even linking up with Manu Tuolangi at some points. But yeah, for me, Finn Russell and Owen Farrell is my centres partnership.
Yeah, I definitely agree with getting Owen Farrell in the team, just for his goal kicking as well. He rarely misses. So I've gone for Owen Farrell at 12. And then, no bias here, but Gloucester Rugby's own Chris Harris at 13. I think he's so consistent, and, he does a lot of the work that isn't really seen. He's making double-digit tackles each game, hitting all the rucks. And, yeah, it's just definitely a player I'd like to see play for the Lions in the summer.
This was where I was really, really struggling, just because of the quantity of names that you could put in there. I think Farrell is in. I think captain of England is doing him more justice than maybe is being mentioned. I do think he has to be in, not least for quality, but obviously what I said. And then the 13, I think I'm going to go for Robbie Henshaw for my pick. I think George North is a hair's length away.
George North as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
From being in. I
can't believe I didn't think of Northie.
And Gary Ringrose at 12 as well was also so close, but there's so many. The Welsh lad as well, Jonathan Davis. I think it's just too many names, but I'm going to go for the combination of Farrell and Robbie Henshaw.
If I could have 3 centres, I'd put George North in. An inside centre, a central centre, and an outside centre. I'm going to have George North at central centre at 12.5. Yeah, really good shouts there, Lucas. I like your thinking.
Do you think it's because North is he's not a natural centre that you think maybe he could be overlooked here?
Yeah, potentially. He's had so much success in the 11 shirt, but having made the adjustment to his game within the last few years, and moving into that centre position, like, he's such a difficult runner to stop, and as recent as the Italy game, he's been running through opposition.
Yeah, and obviously with a winger at centre for Wales, it's obviously opened up a space on the wing for young Lewis Rees-Zammit to shine. And, I'd be interested to know what you guys think, but has he got a space in your Lions team? Because he has for me.
Yeah, Rees-Zammit's he's definitely in. He's my 14.
He's my 14 as well, and 11. This is another interesting debate. 11, I think I'm going for Anthony Watson.
Yeah. I've got Anthony Watson / Johnny May, and I'll listen to Louis' debate over that and make my decision accordingly.
Yeah, no bias here
no,
again,
none
but
at all.
gone for Gloucester Rugby's own Johnny May. I think, both Rees-Zammit and Johnny May, two of the fastest wingers in the world. Why wouldn't you want them on your team? They've got an ability to score from anywhere on the pitch, and their speed is just, it's unplayable.
I think Anthony Watson, he was man of the match against France. He had a great game. But Johnny May, his records speak for themselves, isn't he? Something like the second highest try scorer for England now. He's been absolutely fantastic when he gets his hands on the ball and he creates something out of nothing. Yeah, Johnny May, going to have a Gloucester Rugby partnership in the Lions final test series. Johnny May and Louis Rees-Zammit. I like the sound of that.
This is where I think the heartbreak is, though. If we're saying maybe there's only 4 positions for the wingers, you've got May, Watson, we mentioned Zammit, maybe George North, but then you've got the likes of Josh Adams as well. How good he's been. Is it Stockdale from Ireland as well?
Jack Knoll.
Yeah,
Jack Knoll.
I think that's good.
Chris Ashton, get him in.
That might be. I think that might be where we see the most high-profile players miss out.
Yeah.
In that position. That just leaves 15 then. I don't even think this needs mentioning who we all want to play here. Hogg for me as well.
Hogg.
But we'll go around anyway. Tom?
Tell you what, you two have gone Stuart Hogg. I'm going to go Lee Halfpenny.
Oh, he's mixed it up.
Changing up. He's got Lions experience, and I think in the big matches, you need that. Like Stuart Hogg, I think I remember on the last tour he got injured, and you need someone who's got experience in those big test games like the series out in Australia all those years ago, and then the New Zealand series. For me it's Lee Halfpenny.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think Lee Halfpenny's been playing well, but if you want a player to, create those attacking opportunities, I think you've got to go with Hogg, really. I just feel like he probably offers more attacking intent. But again, Halfpenny's got that goal-kicking pedigree as well, so that's another valuable asset. So maybe we'll have to go to Lucas for the casting vote on this one.
Well, Hogg was my choice. So I guess he makes our team based on numbers.
Based on numbers.
I've been outruled.
I couldn't see how we could be left out, to be honest. Obviously, there's a lot of quality in the team, but he's just a player, and he's Stuart Hogg. He's the captain of Scotland as well, for whatever that counts. I don't know if Gatland will maybe factor in how many leaders he can get in, but Hogg, he'd be one of the first names on my team sheet, definitely.
Yeah, I think that, the fact that he is captain of Scotland as well is probably a massive point. As you mentioned there, the leaders on the pitch. Last time out against New Zealand, there was Sam Warburton, Alan Wynne-Jones, Owen Farrell, all these captains of their countries, and I think, it's that experience in those crucial moments at the end of the game when the penalty goes your way. You need those calm heads with the experience to make the right decisions. So I think, having a captain, as many captains as possible in the team, can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. And does that wrap up our team quite nicely?
I think we managed to get through that quite civilly. I don't think there was many disagreements. I wasn't counting when we were going through though, but it did seem like either we had more English or Welsh players above anyone.
Sorry, go on.
Obviously, Wales are doing a lot better than England at the moment. that was interesting to see just how highly we rate the players on teams that are not doing well subconsciously. But I thought we got for that pretty well.
It's interesting to see how the little representation Ireland have, because, well, within recent years they've been like the lead in like the amount of numbers that Ireland bring into a Six Nations. Like O'Connell, like he's been Mr. Lions, hasn't he? He's an absolute legend of that. And the only Irish name I've got is I've got Peter O'Mahony and Johnny Sexton, and yeah, it's like they're maybe like the old guard, so to speak. So it's time for a fresh generation of Irish players to come through.
I think they have a lot of players that are on the books, but there's just better players.
Yeah.
I had quite a few names listed. I mean, if I read some of the names I had Cian Healy as an outside shout, Furlong, Byrne, James Ryan, CJ Stander, Conor Murray, Sexton, Ringrose, Henshaw. I think they've got a lot of good players, but there's just better players, if that makes sense.
It's a difficult one. You say those names and you think, how the hell are they not going to be in the Lions team?
CJ Stander, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, there definitely going to be some heartbreak, isn't there? But that's why Warren Gatland has paid the big bucks to make these decisions.
Yeah, certainly going to be interesting. And another interesting element of it is, will it go ahead and where will it happen?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's all up in the air at the minute. It was interesting today to see that London Pride have been announced official sponsors of the tour. So I don't know if that suggests maybe that the series will be held in Britain. Obviously, fans will probably be allowed in some sort of capacity in the summer. So that might be, quite a big factor in where it's going to be held. So obviously, virus in South Africa still raging rampant.
And what does that mean for the midweek games? Because there's been speculation around the South African Super Rugby sides coming over and joining the pro competition to make the Pro 16. So there will be, in and around Europe, like the likes of the Bulls and the Sharks, those games may still go ahead, just, like you say, in England.
Off the back of that as well, I'm just thinking, if it is in England and it's not actually a touring team, does that make a difference to who gets picked? Like Alan Wynne Jones, if he's not the captain, does he make that team? I just think it's a big thing to a lot of smaller details if the side is not actually touring.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The need for a really strong vocal leader on away grounds. I get what you're saying, but I think Alan Wynne Jones, he's irreplaceable. I don't think whether you're playing home or away, it really matters to him.
Yeah, not like not making the squad. I meant like not starting. I think.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
I think he's all but there for me. But yeah, that could make a lot of small changes. Just off the back of the Ireland conversation as well, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we could be in line to see more Scottish players actually in contention to make the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Scotland are probably having one of their better Six Nations of recent times. So, the likes of Stuart Hogg, Finn Russell, Chris Harris, they've all been pretty impressive in recent games. So, yeah, it's going to be a really, really tight selection process for Warren Gatland. But yeah, I think we've covered it all pretty well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's involved in the summer. Yeah,
I think that brings us to a close nicely, and I think we've had a good chat about it, and looking forward to the tour this summer.
Indeed. Just to summarise then, at the team we all come up with, I think we all had Sinclair. I think it was Vunipola, Jamie George on majority vote. Alan Wynne Jones, was it Itoje?
Absolutely, those two.
I think Josh Navidi was in off votes. I think Tom Curry as well.
Mahoney.
Yep. The 8 was Faletau or Billy Vunipola.
Simmons, mate.
Sam Simmons, mate.
Gotta be Sam Simmons.
And then the backs, lots of disagreement there, so we might have to rewatch to see who actually made our team. But it just shows again.
Danny Kerr.
Just shows how much competition there is.
I wouldn't bet on Danny Kerr being in there.
Right, that brings us to a close then. Thank you for listening, and make sure you're keeping up to date with all the sports headlines coming out of Gloucestershire and beyond today at Park Life Sport. Thank you for listening, guys.
Cheers, Lucas. Thanks for having me.